everybody. Shoulder FootyCast. Here we go, live from BackChat Studios. Semi-final weekend done and dusted. Finally, some good footy, Skeeter. It was a bloody good weekend of footy. There were some ripping games we saw. How are you, mate?
I'm well. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was going to be one ripping game and one dud, but that changed in about half an hour in the Saturday night game. But yeah, two really great finishes. A surprise in many respects with Port with what they did, although you and I both forecast there'd be a significant bounce back from them.
I can't remember who I tipped.
I think we both picked Port, to be honest with you. And the Giants, who we talk about teams choking in big moments, in big finals, they've done it 2 weeks in a row where they've just taken the gas in the last quarter, have not been able to run out games. But yeah, so plenty of footy news bumping around. I just have to shout out, I went to hosted a function on Friday night for the Hammersley Careen Footy Club, the Hawks. There, tell you what, it was up at Aqua in Hillary's, and I think most of the crew had been there young, obviously, been up to Hillary's breakwater just to preload. And
so is Aqua the aquarium, or am I losing my mind?
No, it is. First time I've been there. And seriously, they were up and about by 7 o'clock. I think they ended up at, was it bar 120? Where I got no idea, but it was game on. But I tell you what, they love the Shelter FootyCast up there. I felt a bit like Taylor Swift getting some selfies, yeah.
People coming at you.
Absolutely,
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did anyone get any, like they say, oh, mate, we love your work over the last 30 years on Channel 7. And
no, just Shelter. It's like
been a great operator in media for a long time. No.
None of that. No. So I was, I was a bit like a rock star there. I had some selfies. Maybe just two.
One thing is for sure, Skeeter, we do have amazing fans of this podcast.
Yeah, it's almost like a cult.
And on Thursday, I asked them to not do something. I said, don't dare go and edit Mark Reddings' Wikipedia page. I said, whatever you're doing.
So they've done it, have they?
Don't do it. I don't want to see any changes to it.
Is this legal?
Because you were sprouting, I can't even remember why I said this, but you were sprouting something off Wiki. I said, mate, Wiki's not always true. This is your Wikipedia page. Mark Reddings.
You're not allowed to change my Wikipedia page without me knowing.
Mark Reddings, or Sleepy Joe, as he's affectionately known due to his uncanny resemblance to Joe Biden, is an Australian sports journalist and commentator. He's formerly a reporter for 7 News and 9 News, and also comments Australian rules football matches on 6PR. In his spare time, Reddings loves doing house chores and drinking warm bourbon and cokes because the ice machine makes too much noise. He has also been spotted smoking the occasional dart behind the bushes. Reddings began his career at radio station 6 p.m. and it just goes on.
Didn't want to mention Logie Award or best footy commentator.
There's some it gets
all
into
that sort of stuff. But just that's not on my thing now, is it? That's been doctored out. Now, listen, Jaden, you better sort this out because I'm still out of work. Actually, effectively, I don't need this. You know, someone doesn't have a full-time job to be absolutely. Just thrown under the bus.
So I believe it gets taken down. Someone screenshotted that. Someone edited it, and then if it's not proven, it gets taken down. So,
well, it hasn't been not proven yet. So I'm a bit worried. The Sleepy Joe thing. I know that's. Hang on, I'm smarter than you. I'm sharper than you. I know more about lots of stuff than you, but I cop that crap.
I know. It's very good gear. I know. Skeeter, great job. Thank you for being a good bloke about that. Yeah, that's funny. All right, Left Coast IPA, free shipping on all Left Coast IPA orders this week only and Sunday over on the Shelter website. You can go and grab your IPAs there, which is shelterbrewing.com.au. You can use the code FootyCast for 10% off your beers as well. So you get free shipping and 10% off if you don't mind. The grand final show that is coming closer, 2 weeks away now. Scott Cummings and I will be there running things on the big screen. We got lots of bars, a silent disco. I believe there'll be some social media work coming out from myself and Hamish Brayshaw. We're down at Subiaco Oval doing some filming during the week. Skeeter, we found the bricks, the Sandover bricks.
Yeah, I was there this time last week.
They got them out quick. Mate, we were down there on bloody Thursday.
It was done Tuesday. It was in place on the Tuesday morning. 6 a.m. they had, obviously, it was Nick Rokar and Callan England.
Mate, the concrete was still wet down there because we're having a look at Hammers and we were taking some photos.
Yeah, so Hammers going to be part of the grand final extravaganza.
He'll definitely be a part of the social media promotions for it, that is for sure. September 20th.
He could be drunk for about a week and a half if they win next Sunday.
Correct, and the Jack Buckley medal, don't forget about that on Monday week. That is about a week away. San Cisco also playing at Shelter November 8th.
No, I like
that exciting. You do actually like them. That is your sort of rotation. All right, let's get into it, Skeeter. Let's get into the footy. Big game Friday night. Port v Hawthorn. This was a cracking game. I loved every bit about it. It was a proper finals game. Hawthorn didn't rock up, I've got to be honest. Didn't see them for about 2.5 quarters, and then they got their game going, and then it was the last quarter was just, finals. Who wants it more moments? It had everything. It had, James Sicily went forward, had 3 shots on goal in the last quarter, 2 of which hit the post. I reckon the first one from the top of the goal square just nicked the post. He missed that one, and then had a shot to effectively win it, hits the post. It was a cracking game.
Yeah, low scoring. And I don't think it's any surprise. You said Hawthorn didn't turn up. I'd suggest also that Port Adelaide were one of the most natural reactions after the week they've had, and obviously the social media stuff we'll get to, but what we saw from Port, I think most good footy clubs will do. And we both forecasted that they'd show a lot more intensity around the ball. I heard you mention on radio that, the likes of Rosie and Butters, their mids basically, on Francis, there had to be 80-plus disposals amongst a couple of them to give them the drive they sadly missed against the Cats. So Jace Burgoyne, I think, played his probably best game of footy.
Or they're missing that he was across the back line, sort of doing his thing there.
Yeah, so... Yeah, and of course Dixon was a late out, but the response was
hilarious.
The response was predictable from Port, but they still had to come out and.
Well, their pressure game was the thing that did it.
100%.
Because as well as I was asking for lots of touches from their mids, I asked for lots of tackles. So I had to be 70-plus tackles, and they were. They were absolutely through the roof in their pressure.
But that's a mindset. So that is purely an attitudinal thing, isn't it? As opposed to the week before. Yeah.
That's what we saw against Freo here. Yeah. That's why I was tooting their buddy horns, Port Adelaide.
Well,
let me tell you, Skeet, I'm back on here.
You're back on. They're one and done.
Port Adelaide could win the flag.
They're one and done, mate.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Sydney. So your flag tip against my flag tip.
Is that right?
Well, we did this 3 weeks. You reckon I'm sleepy, Joe?
Well, no,
your memory is completely cooked.
No, I know.
You tipped Port, I tipped Sydney going back before the finals, and they were first and second. So, but as it turns out, all this bull dust about how these teams from outside the top 4, generally, you still get your best 4 teams in there. I mean, Brisbane made a prelim.
Yes.
Outside the top 4.
And that was probably going to be the one it was them or Hawthorn that were going to sneak in.
Exactly. So it always tends to be the case, barring the 2016 Bulldogs case, that your top 4 teams, given the week's break, and particularly if they win, even if they lose, history says they bounce back. So I think we're probably where logic says we should be.
We are going to come back and break down the game, but Ken Hinkley v. James Sicily, Jack Ginnivan, I don't know if I should go to the end before the start, but how did you read it? Because you said before we came on air that you and I differ on this one, and I said stop talking, I want to talk about it on the podcast. You want me to go first with how I saw it?
Well, I saw what you tweeted, and so immediately, we're at odds on that front because I think the theatre of it.
I keep hearing this, the theatre.
Well, this is funny because from you, Schoey, and you're all for showing your character, your passion, your personality, which I think this is what it was. Now, can I ask you this? Was there, and I didn't hear exactly what was said, if there was nothing racial, which I don't think there was, anything sexual or religious? I'm saying they're the 3 barometers, racial, sexual, and religious, that you use as your barcode for whether it significantly upsets people. And to my mind, I think it is Ken Hinkley will regret it, absolutely. Jack Ginnivan will regret putting his post on, which he's already said. As an outsider, we've got no skin in the game. Bring it on. It was great to watch, and you know what? It created discussion. Hinkley regrets it. Sam Mitchell got involved. People went back at Sam Mitchell after what he did against Eston as a player with the supplement saga and the needle to the arms situation. You know what? Footy needs a bit of this. And for you to be, which I think, saying this is crossing the line, that flies in the face of what you normally stand for.
Have I said it's crossed the line?
You said it's embarrassing.
And it is.
Why is it embarrassing?
I can guarantee you it's embarrassing. Ken Hinkley would have woken up the next morning going, geez, I shouldn't have done that.
Exactly.
And that is embarrassing. So he was embarrassed. So Ken Hinkley, for me, the embarrassing part was after the game. Like post-game on the field, he's like, there is no argument against what you've just said. This is great theatre. This gives us something to talk about. I loved watching it. It was awesome. All of that. I don't think there's an argument to say that wasn't embarrassing for Ken Hinkley as the head coach of Port Adelaide. In the moment, that's fine. Yapping off at like unprovoked. Like, it was just.
Well, it wasn't unprovoked.
The biggest thing for me is after the game.
When's he supposed to do it?
Mate, just don't do it.
Oh, come on, Scully. You are seriously. Now, I agree. He'll regret it. He'll regret having done that from a club perspective. Fine $20,000, which $20,000. Geez, you've got to do a lot wrong to get $20,000 next to your name. But he's copped the 20. I mean, Jason McCartney copped 20. Kevin Sheedy, albeit going back 20 years ago, he got $7,500 for doing the slashing of the throat with Mitchell White. And of course, Clarko called someone a homophobic slur this year, and $20,000 as well. After the game, the emotions were, you know better than me, you know better than most people listening to this. You're fired up. He's been under the siege. He's had all sorts of stuff thrown at him in the past week. I agree. It's not a great look for the lower grades. But in terms of, crossing the line and what was said, I just think it's a footy moment that will mean next year, round 1, MCG, Hawthorn, Port Adelaide. It started a rivalry that will, I think, grow.
Like I said, after the siren, you've won. That's your win. That's your win. That's the biggest laugh of all. How dumb does Hawthorn look? How dumb does Jack Ginnivan look? You've just rolled him. You've just come back. Your job was on the line. All of that sort of stuff. He's out there like going, hey Jack, like.
It was
embarrassing. It was embarrassing
for him. It was a great.
So it was embarrassing for him.
That's it.
That's what I said. I said this. That's embarrassing.
You said this is embarrassing, but it's not.
And it is embarrassing. So I'm right. So what's the issue?
The issue is you carry on like you shouldn't. You're the first person to show passion.
I said this is as embarrassing as it gets for Ken Hinkley. That's all I said. So what's wrong with that?
That's not as embarrassing.
So he's not embarrassed.
Not embarrassed. He regrets it.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's lots more embarrassing things. I know.
He could
have been naked.
Blowing it up as if it's some.
How have I blown it up? I wrote one tweet. What did I do?
But it comes in the face of what you say about footballers' passion, showing personality, as Jack Ginnivan did, which I reckon's great. You know what?
Mate, but this is the thing. Jack Ginnivan did it. He started it. Mate, he put a comment on a post on social media. The levels of these things are very different.
Nah,
they are. They're very different things.
You know what? I got no issue with what Jack did. I reckon it's great. No, and kids love him. No. And you know what? What Ken Hinkley did.
I don't really have a great issue with what Ken Hinkley did either, but it's embarrassing. They can be different things. You can be embarrassed and it still not be a big issue. I don't think it's a big issue.
I think he regrets it. Embarrassed? I don't know. Anyways, for the likes of Luke Hodge, Lee Matthews, Dermot Brereton, Jordan Lewis. This is getting down the path of, all of them superstar footballers. You don't reckon they've done stuff that's been embarrassing?
Yeah, but they're all been Hawthorn players. This is the funny thing. Yeah, this is the funny thing. There's a lot of Hawthorn guys in the media. Jason
quarters jumping up and down. Seriously.
Yeah, but then Kano's doing the same thing from Port Adelaide's point of view.
Totally. Yeah, but
isn't that okay? Isn't that okay? Like Kane's gone too heavy over the top because he's a Port guy. And these guys have gone too over the top because they're Hawthorn guys. Isn't that the same argument as you? Like, this is the thing.
Mine, I had no skin in the game. I couldn't really give a rat's who won between Hawthorn and Port Adelaide, but those guys did. And that, for me, I think it's great. I love seeing people, again, not crossing the line with king hitting blokes or calling names that are going to be, detrimental to what we term as those three areas I discussed in racial, sexual, and religious. But yeah,
no real course of so the Ginnivan thing, like you get to, Port Adelaide got to go and put it on the wall and be like, all right, let's. I think the thing I didn't like was Hawthorn couldn't do shit about it, and I didn't like they've won, game's over, they're about to cheer off old mate, and then you're yapping your mouth, and you can't seriously can't do it. You can't go punch on with him. You can't. You can't. Do it on the field.
100%.
Season over. It's a last laugh thing.
Cheap shot from Hinkley. Cheap shot.
Couldn't agree more.
That being said, I reckon he's a bloke that's got plenty of passion and he's defending his club. Anyway, he was over the top.
Would you have expect? Okay, can I flip it? Hawthorn win. Sicily kicked the goal.
Yep.
Right. Exactly the same setup because they would have all been there to. And Ginnivan's laughing and yapping, and Sicily's going, "Bye, boys. See you later. Happy with that?"
Well,
no, you're not. No, but it's theatre.
No. The reason I don't think the Hawks in when they celebrate. In all seriousness, I don't think they're mocking the opposition.
I'm just asking
they didn't have a reason. The reason Port responded was because of the Ginnivan thing, rightly or wrongly. Hawthorn didn't have angst against Port. If they'd won the game. My point is, I think Hawthorn celebrate. Well, I love it. You know what? That's what we need to see. Teams embracing, the joy of winning and cracking the can open, all that sort of stuff. It's good for the game. If they'd done it, it would have looked like sore losers. Absolutely. As it did a bit as
Sore winners, right?
sore winners, yeah, as ungracious, yeah. So there's a bit of that from Ken Hinkley, absolutely, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, end of the day.
We can both be right here. It can be embarrassing and not a big deal.
Probably. And it's not, you know what? No one lost an eye. Okay. It's created reams of
What
discussion.
if someone lost an eye? Would be a big deal then. All right, let's keep moving, Skeet. I'm going to get into the games in a bit. Dusty to Gold Coast. Dusty. Apparently, look, I haven't said enough of this. I kept well off socials. As you said, just so you know, I didn't blow that. I just said my social. I turned my socials off.
What have you created?
Oh, I put that tweet out. People are fucking going bananas.
That's brilliant.
Well, I just turned it off. See you later.
I did something last week on Neil Mitchell. I was.
I saw that. Can you please find Mark Redding's reply? Neil Mitchell put out an article and Skeeter was in the fucking comments yapping off. Right? So
yapping off. Hang on.
Mark Redding's Twitter.
And so that's about 3 tweets this footy season.
Did people come out?
Not really. They thought I was on the gas, but I wasn't. I wasn't on the gas. I just saw it and went, this is just a stupid, antiquated statement by a guy who's revered in Melbourne as a broadcaster, but his footy IQ in this sense.
Give me a quick overview of what he's talking about.
So essentially saying, because of course there was no footy in Melbourne on the weekend. So Neil Mitchell's suggesting that, forget the interstate interlopers, there should be one game scheduled at the MCG every weekend of the finals. And I just replied...
So he got you, by the sounds of it.
Oh, he may well have got me, but it was just so dumb. It's a statement. The statement was so, like, it's talking about insular, and he barracks from Melbourne, right? So my reply, I can't remember what I said, but along the lines of, here's Neil Mitchell, who barracks from Melbourne, and I didn't say this in the tweet, but they, along with probably 4 or 5 other Melbourne clubs, receive, $16 million the Melbourne, assistance from the AFL and through broadcast and through all the avenues. And bear in mind, in 1996, they almost merged with Hawthorn. So their club was just about cooked anyway. And this is a club, they've won one flag in 60 years. Do you know where they won it? Do you know where Melbourne won their flag?
No.
You should
Perth,
know.
That's right.
They won it in Perth. They won it at an interstate venue. So I just said to Neil, I thought you'd like us a little bit more than that. But it was just a bit of fun. But yeah, people thought that I'd had a little moment in my life that I decided just to put out a tweet.
Just rare you sort of going on the offensive on Twitter.
It is. So let's go back to you. You went back and mentioned the embarrassing comment. And what happened then?
Oh, mate, it just blew up. And I was just... I had this conversation over the weekend. I was having a couple of beers, Skater, because I didn't have to do too many games this weekend. And, like, I like just saying what I think, but then when it's like it blows up, I'm just like, I don't really care enough.
Don't you?
I don't care about it. Anything that comes out of my mouth. I'm not like, well, I'm right, and no, I actually do. I do think that, but I don't care enough to.
But do you care about the comments that come back?
No, I don't care enough what I've said, and I don't really need the fucking drama in my life, so I can just turn it off and it's all good. But it was quite funny. Like I
think it's hilarious. I love it when you do that.
So Neil Mitchell, yeah, I have to have a few beers to do that. Forget the interstate interlopers. This is Neil Mitchell. The AFL should change the rules to ensure there's a game at the MCG every week of finals. Here's my view on the last week in news.
Is that a podcast?
I don't know.
It must be.
Yeah. Will be much better than that. Mark Redding, 7, replies, a major review for the Melbourne Football Club looming and a well-being check required for one of its supporters. The only place in the last 60 years you've won a flag is interstate. Thought you'd love us, Neil.
That was
with
friendly.
a little winky
emoji. No, I don't like to cause too much angst because
this is good. I like it. All right.
I'll start doing more of that.
Dusty Martin to Gold Coast. Apparently Dusty's bloody calling Gold Coast saying, can I come play? Oh,
ringing Wayne Campbell.
Spare me.
Surely Dusty does not pick up a phone.
Dusty's not ringing anyone.
Who's his manager? Ralph
Carr.
Ralph Carr. Yeah, look, and some saying they might be right. This has been a bit like Damien Hardwick when he resigned and quit at Richmond, has been in play for about 5 months.
So Dusty's off a few tears when he was leaving Richmond, which is great. We love that. Is this been on the cards or is this a new thing?
No, I think it's been on the cards.
So
I think. Look, the question is, let me ask you this: do you think it's good for the Gold Coast moving forward, given they probably only have to pay him say half a mil a year?
Do you reckon? Or is he getting some sort of? Is he doing it for $500,000? Well, he would have been paid enough over his career to not just go up there for $500,000.
Well, what's he doing it for? Why would you pay him huge dollars?
Money. He'd have to be getting paid money.
But
if there's anything left after McAndrew,
exactly. But what Dusty's? Let's be honest. Dusty
doesn't need success.
Norm Smith medal days are gone in terms of his best.
Yeah.
He's certainly a lesser player, but that's natural. So why? I don't think they'll be paying a fortune, because I think if you're the Gold Coast, you're wondering, okay, what's the motivation for him coming up there, and what would be the motivation?
Well, you'd have to think that people on the Gold Coast, it's always been a struggle to get interest in the football club.
It's got to be more than that.
People are putting Dusty Martin number 4s on their back. Who's number 4 right now for Gold Coast? Is it Swallow? I'm pretty good with numbers. Number 4.
It wasn't Brandon Ellis, was it? No.
Brandon Ellis? All right, so number 4 becomes vacant because hasn't Brandon Ellis finished up?
He's retired.
Okay.
One Tiger.
Well, mate, it's on.
I just don't know, for the Gold Coast perspective, and also on an on-field sense, is it something you should be pursuing? I think it's a legitimate question.
Dusty, out of the goal square, pinch hitting in the midfield for 5 minutes a quarter, he gets a game at Gold Coast.
He gets a game, absolutely. Yeah.
No doubt about it. So you've got that aspect. You do have, we don't know because he doesn't speak to the media, but from all reports, he's a terrific teammate. He knows what success looks like. He knows what performance on the biggest stage looks like. And that's what Gold Coast lack. They don't have the belief or the knowledge of what it's like to play in big games of footy and play well when it matters. In fact, it could be exactly what the Gold Coast need.
It's you speak a lot of sense, and I think if you look at, sometimes the Gold Coast, even they came to Perth on that Friday night playing the Eagles, a game they should have won. Maybe a Martin might have been the guy in the last quarter to, okay, I'm going to go into the middle, just have that influence on the team. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to go on huge money. I keep reading that it's not going to be one of those, because he's just at that time of his career where it's...
I'll be just keeping an eye on places like the Burleigh Pavilion, maybe putting an ambassadorial role together, or, there'd be some other places down there that suddenly Dusty's now the ambassador for this area, and he's working with the Gold Coast Shire.
And just gets one of those sort of cardboard cutouts of him smiling with a thumbs up, like your mate Trumpy, give that one, and then away we go, and gets paid his extra coin.
Well, talking about players on the move, there's a bit going on in club management, player management land. A little shout out to West Coast. There's not a lot going on.
Gee, it's been quiet, which I think's
probably a good thing. From what I'm hearing, no players have been told definitively whether they'll be with the club next year if they're uncontracted. Of course, if you're contracted, you're with the club. But I think there's 11 guys out of contract. None of them have been said, yes, you're staying, or no, you're going.
That's going to be frustrating for the players.
I think so. A few people have asked me about this. I think that's the only people it's affecting. I don't think it affects the club. I don't think it affects their ability to go and make trades. That period doesn't start till after the grand final.
Yeah, but you say they're the only people that it affects, but
the players are the ones that
they're the guys you feel for at the moment, because hopefully they've been given a bit of a guide as to whether they think they'll be required, because you don't want to be left as an employment position left in limbo.
So whoever those players are, let's say that the club said, well, you're probably not going to be here next year, but Stephen King gets the job, and he goes, no, I actually really rate that player, I want him here. So the coach would have a fair say over that sort of decision making. That's why they're leaving it. And like I said, I think it's Stephen King, so he's going to go and probably win a grand final first, and then they'll appoint him the next day. Reckon that'll happen?
I don't know why they can't say and can't come out if that's the case that he's speaking with the Eagles. And it's happened before around grand final time. We know an assistant coach has had discussions. That hasn't happened this year, and it sounds like it's not happening, which to me flies in the face of some other cases that we've seen.
Yeah, that's a good point. This one I saw last night, Skeet, and I was just like, geez. So you and I were very critical of the St Kilda Football Club last on Thursday.
Yeah, big stories.
So there was a comment down here. This is from YouTube over the weekend. Dan Hanbury, Brad Crouch, Zach Jones to St Kilda. How do they all work out? Seriously, if St Kilda went after Jack McRae, it would be a really poor move. And we did speak about this.
If I said, hold my beer.
Well, yes, Skeeter. Great use of that saying. Hold my beer. Take Jack McRae. Thanks for coming. How does Zach Merrett, the captain of the Essendon Football Club, sound to everybody?
Wow. It's certainly left fielder to me. How old is Zach?
It's
a question without notice, but he'd have to be late 20s, wouldn't he?
Jaden, you can have 28 years old. That's prime time.
Yeah.
Probably, 6 years.
What do you give up? What do you give up for him? How substantial is that?
Well, I mean, Essendon aren't going to just let their captain.
Is it 2 first rounders?
Like Essendon's best player is Zach Merrett by a long way.
Yeah.
It's not like he's at Collingwood or Sydney. Chad Warner out of the Sydney midfield. Well, He's still got Heaney and
plenty up the
Rowbottom.
sleeve.
Yeah, did I say Rowbottom? Rowbottom and Goulden and all these guys. Zach Merrett gone out of that midfield and Essendon had just gone to absolute. So it'd have to shift the whole dial of Essendon's trade package over probably the next definitely 2 years.
When's a captain? The last time a captain, I remember Lee Colbert, was captain of North and went to Geelong.
Judd? No.
Was Judd captain of the Eagles? He may well have been when he left to go back home. Yeah, it's what it does say is if Zach Merrett does make the move, which is only a question mark, what does that say about what he thinks Essendon is going to do in the next couple of years?
This feels like a media-induced
a little bit of.
I don't think Zach Merrett's out there shopping himself around as the captain of Essendon.
No, is there just a chance that his manager's just trying to squeeze a new deal out of Essendon or some money? What would be the motivation?
Well, I think the question is actually not, what happens if Zach Merrett, what's it say about Essendon? It's like, would you consider this as Zach Merrett? If you're Zach Merrett, captain of Essendon, do you see success in the next 5 years? Or if you don't, is that at St Kilda? If it's not there, are you money orientated? You've got 5 years of your career left? Do you go and get yourself $2 million a year or whatever they want to pay you?
Yeah, well, we can't answer the other questions, but we can have a guess at the football side of things. And I don't see much difference between Essendon and St Kilda in terms of what is potentially ahead of them in the next 3 or 4 years. So I don't see that going to St Kilda is going to dramatically enhance your chances of winning a flag.
So if Zach Merrett was added to St Kilda, would that make them a top 8 chance next year?
Makes them a better side, doesn't it? It's without question.
Correct.
It goes without saying.
And if Essendon lost Zach Merrett, can they make finals?
Well, given what we've seen this year, you can't have confidence even with him in the side making the finals.
So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's pretty fresh, that one, out of the box.
Yeah, we're going to get a few of those, I reckon, between now and...
Talking about fresh out of the box, Skeeter, I think you'll like this. Your old employer, I don't know what to say. Bruce McAvaney, out of retirement, will be posted as a key hosting role on Channel 7 for the AFL Final Series the next 2-3 weeks.
Was that right?
Bruce McAvaney back in business.
And he's much loved.
So he'll be working with the 7 AFL coverage.
Not calling, obviously, but just doing the hosting duty.
It says key hosting role.
I'd say it's not the calling side of it. I'd say if that's the case, and I haven't seen this, but Bruce, who, by the way, is a lovely guy. I met him a couple of times. A really nice guy, so knowledgeable. I mean, he worked with my late father at Channel 10 in Melbourne, who, by the way, had my dad working out. He was in news, my dad, but there was Bruce McAvaney, Eddie Maguire, and Steve Quartermain. So it was a pretty...
Is that right?
Yeah, there's some names back in the day. So I suspect Bruce will... And I think it's not a bad move. Bringing back, I mean, they've got some good hosts in any case. Abby Holmes, I think let me say, I think women do a really good job in that hosting role.
Yep.
I think Sarah Jones, Kath Lockton, I think women are actually probably better than the blokes as hosts. That's my... You've worked with Kath.
I agree.
I think they are... I'm not saying this respectfully to other hosts, but I think there's no ego involved. They just do their job. They get from A to B.
They're good.
They're more organised than blokes.
They're just good.
Sounds like...
And some of the boys aren't.
No, well, that's right. They're articulate. They speak well. So I think, that being said, I think McAvaney... you're in safe hands when he's doing a role like
Highly
that.
prepared. Sounds like one of the most prepared individuals in the history of the world.
Absolutely. But you know what? He's got a passion. And he's, funny, when they're commentating like him and Dennis, people now pine for those days to come back because you always do for those years, 10, 15 years ago, if they were, together, the great doubles. And they were one of the great duos. And people sort of miss that now. That's no knock on JB or BT. It's just people love what they remember and the glory is in their minds. And it was Dennis, and of course Den's now happily in retirement. Or Bruce, who's still, he loves his racing as well, and Seven's got him on the books. So, yeah, good to see Bruce back.
Another quick couple of drive-bys. Jack Martin delisted by Carlton, linked to Freo. I'm not sure if they'll go and chase that.
It's a freebie. Why not look at him?
If you could get him for free, yes.
Just
and you
have
don't
a look.
To pay him much, or you pay him a minimum plus matches. You probably bring him in if you're actually interested.
If he wants to be here, if he's happy to go to Fremantle, he's one, as I say, it's a free throw at the stumps.
Couldn't speak to him of late, but I do remember playing against him. He has a body. He hits for his size.
He's so
one
skinny.
of the hardest players in how he hits and how he tackles.
Jack Martin.
And Jack Martin.
Really? That surprises me.
Ever. I'm talking, up there with big boys. And he's like a rock when you make contact with him. So,
Or you just soft.
more than likely. more than likely contributed to it. Mark, thank you very much. That's good. Well done. You probably owe me a couple after the Wikipedia page.
Mate.
North, Best and Ferris, LDU first, Cherry Evans second, of course, Tristan Cherry, and Harry Sheasel third. So that's the North Melbourne BNF. Hey, just the umpiring on the weekend. There's been a fair bit of coverage across the games. People weren't overly happy with it. There was some pretty contentious stuff on the Friday night.
Friday night. The tackle by, was it Jones on Marbiot's shoulder? Is that the type of space?
I mean, see, like, yeah. So this is I just wanted to talk to you about it. So that one there, I mean, we've seen that paid all year, and that'll be reported. He'll be at the tribunal for that.
He's not getting time for that.
Well, but they'll look at it. They'll absolutely look at it.
They'll look. Yeah, of course. Yes, they'll look at it. There cannot be a suspension for that.
The 50-metre penalties going on were interesting. There was the kicking the ball for goal after a free kick. I actually saw it. We had some issues with audio when I was calling. I saw it. I was like, that should be 50 because it was
on the Friday night game.
Yeah. You know, it was late in the game. Free kick paid, and then Port Adelaide went and kicked the goal. Sorry, it was a stoppage. It was a ball up, and they just played on, kicked it, goal, and they paid it for time wasting.
I remember there was even an incident in the Giants-Brisbane game where a 50-metre penalty was paid, and the player, I think it was a Giants player, didn't give it, or a Lions player, didn't give it back to the right player, and essentially he said, and there wasn't a huge crowd there, but he said, I couldn't hear you. Like, now, when the whistle blows and you go on and kick the goal, you're obliged to look back and at least see that the advantage is paid, unlike Brent Daniels, who just tried to go off the deck and could have cost them the game at the end of the day. But I didn't. Yeah, certainly the Friday night game created more noise with the umpiring decisions than Saturday.
Did you see the score assist touched call late in the game? It was touched, mate, and they called a goal.
No, Carl went
Sicily.
off with that. Yeah,
Sicily. Yeah, Carl and I were getting into them.
Yeah, you two were two bulls butting heads.
That was good. All right, let's get into the games. Port Adelaide defeat Hawthorn by 3 points at Adelaide Oval. Charlie Dixon laid out. We know that. This was just a cracker. As we spoke about earlier, Jace Burgoyne was very good with 25 disposals. I thought Jordan Sweet was elite in the ruck. 52 head-outs against Lloyd Meek, who had touched up Team English the week before. Basically, for mine, Port Adelaide got all the matchups right they needed to get. Evans tagged Sicily for the first 3 quarters.
How good's Evans been? As a young mid-season draftee, I think he's 18.
I'm talking about the other. Frankie Evans.
Oh, Frankie Evans, sorry.
Logan Evans been very good and was very good, and what a great pickup. He's been a star.
Yeah.
But Frankie Evans tagged James Sicily the first 3 quarters.
Which is what we talked about the week before. Just make him accountable.
Mate, Frankie Evans had 1 handball in the first 3 quarters. But it doesn't matter. I guarantee you he's in the best players internally. What he did, they had to put him forward because he was not influencing the game at all as a backman, and he ends up and almost goes and wins the game. But I was really impressed with Frankie Evans doing that to Sicily. Had to do that. But the Sicily move, we would have been talking about that forever if he had to kick that goal.
But it would have been not a surprise on the night because he's done that against the Dockers. He's done it regularly going forward, and he generally has an impact, and he could have had the ultimate impact on Friday night. So I don't think it was a masterstroke to put him for. I think it was the obvious move given the state of the game. But that being said, just looking ahead for this footy club, Sicily, will he relinquish that role across halfback? Probably not, but you've got Barris and Battle, if they're both coming in, they've got their sport for choices.
That's what they're doing it for, right? So the other thing that they missed with Frost not being there and Sarong being matched up, he was exposed a number of times, one against Georgiadis, Tom Marshall a little bit. They didn't have a key back. They didn't have someone to stop those guys, and probably a Barris and a Battle changes that game completely. They're desperate for that. So that's why they're going after that. And we saw that, and they lose a final because of it. Port Adelaide, Willie Rioli, that's close to as good of a game as I've seen Willie play. You could just see from the first touch he had, he was just on.
Intent. But isn't it strange? Like the previous week, and all the names you mentioned on Port's list, essentially, you could say they get a cross next to their name against the referee against Geelong. And Willie was part of that system. It's just extraordinary how
the opposite. Yeah, that almost every one of them get a tick.
Yeah, but I guess that's what you do at elite level. If you don't get it right, and then you have a week to contemplate, and you come in with the right mindset. And Ken's obviously got them going on Friday night. I just wonder whether they can maintain that this week. For me, it's a one and done. It's the emotional and physical toll that match took out of them. I think is going to be difficult to replicate.
It's just bizarre that you don't come out that way against Geelong in a qualifying final. Number one thing I can think of, Jason Horne-Francis starts on the bench for 7 minutes in the qualifying final. You start him in the middle for the first. He got the first 2 centre clearances of the first and second quarters, and he was the difference in the first half. So what are you thinking in the first qualifying final? Are you being too smart?
I was about to say, trying to be too clever by half, by maybe putting off a tag or it's one that you talk about regrets for Hinkley going back to the qualifying final. Yeah, I think you've got to play your best players in the positions initially.
Because you have to go and then play in this game and play well to beat a good team in Hawthorn, but then you're going again. Whereas you win the qualifying final, Geelong and Sydney have just been sitting around and rubbing their hands. Look at these guys bash each other up.
And they're favourites to get through, aren't they now? Geelong, Sydney, 2 years ago they played the GF, and they're probably best place. Well, they are best place because they've got home ground advantage, and they've also got the luxury of having a week off.
So the last... so it went Collingwood, Brisbane. And
Geelong, Sydney. Yeah.
One before, because I didn't go to that. I was on the Gold Coast for that one.
Yeah, I was there.
It feels like that was longer ago than 2 years ago.
It was a terrible game. It was a
bloodbath.
It was a bloodbath, absolutely. But the best part of the day was Robbie Williams.
Weren't you out the front, though?
I was trying to sell a ticket at face value. And I was told by Rick Hart and other blokes, yeah, mate, this is fine. You'll get it sold. Just not one person. This is at 1:30. Not one person want to come and buy a ticket. I'm there. I thought about getting that cardboard box, cardboard with cardboard sign saying ticket for sale. So Robbie Williams starts. His set's just about finished. I've got a couple of security guards just not looking at me. It's just they're wandering around. There's no one in the vicinity. So I just walked in, missed Robbie Williams, and then the game was over in 5 minutes.
So Hawthorn will regret this forever. Just so we know. Like I know a lot of people say, they'll get that, young team.
There's no guarantee.
Mate, there is no guarantees, and every final series, when you have an opportunity to win. So Dylan Moore hit the post late, and James Sicily, the two leaders, 2 All-Australians. James Sicily All-Australian this year, yeah. They won't ever forget that. That's not something you can just and I'm not saying it's not going to cloud their careers. I know,
no,
but they'll never forget it.
Yeah, of course,
it's a missed opportunity.
Murray Wrenstead, 1988 elimination final, those types of moments. But bottom line is, I think as a group they're young enough. Yeah, they can't just rock up next year and expect that they're going to have the same success because they'll be scrutinised to the nth degree by opposition clubs. That being said, they're really well placed. I thought it was a fantastic season given they were 0-5. And Sam Mitchell, if he builds this list again, absolutely they should be in contention mode.
Brisbane defeat GWS by 5 points at NG Stadium. The Giants failed to finish a game for the second straight week. Going to give you some stats off this one, Skeeter. Biggest finals comeback since Geelong in 1931. The Giants led by 44 points in quarter 3 and 25 at three-quarter time versus the Lions. And they led by 21 points at three-quarter time last week against the Swans. Time in front against the Swans last week, 121 minutes to 5 minutes. And this week, 129 minutes to 10 minutes time in the lead. So this has been a horrible final series for the Giants.
Yeah, it was a horrible night for me as well because they were the second leg of a multi. You said, 1931, so that's the biggest league conceded. I'm happy to be part of that on the wrong end of it. And they're your team as well, so you wouldn't have been feeling overly good. But
flat as.
A huge effort by Brisbane. It's massive. And they seriously, I think they kicked 4-10 next to their name at one point. And in the third quarter, when the game looked just about gone, out of nowhere, they got a couple of free kicks, but they managed to find the footy, and they kicked about 5 or 6 goals in 9 minutes. And then they conceded some late, and you thought 25 points at three-quarter time. But, yeah, full credit to them. I mean, Dane Zorko was a major factor in that last quarter. Obviously, we saw what Joe Danaher did, who gives you the best and the worst all in one match, sometimes in one quarter. But, what he did, Sam Taylor's battle with him was terrific. I thought, the Giants, a bit like that Sydney game, in the last quarter, They not saying they parked the bus, but it's almost like they stopped, and that's whether it's the will to run or not. But yeah, I thought Brisbane, the ability to stay in the match long enough. As soon as they got within 3 goals, I think they could sense their opposition was really under the pump. And you got young guys like Ashcroft, playing I think his second final. terrific.
27 disposals, 9 clearances.
Yeah, I mean, that's elite stuff from him. Lockie Neal was a little quieter, about 19 touches, I think, and he's got an injury concern with that moon boot. So
Toby Bedford went to him for most of the day.
Which was a really, really smart move. But yeah, I was impressed with what they did in that last quarter. And, like you talk about matches, that could be, they've still got to get past Geelong, but this Brisbane side, they're pretty dangerous.
Dane Zorko was well handled in the first half. One of probably the quietest out there for the first
Made
half.
mistakes.
Yeah, and he was poor. Swung forward, kicked 2 goals in the second half, crucial goals. So that was an interesting one. Does Brisbane's forward line get a bit of Eric Hipwood and Logan Morris combined for 9 disposals and a goal on that one?
Eric Hipwood was a non-factor, wasn't he? I mean, that's
no surprise. Jack Buckley was on him, so I'm not sure what else you meant to do against Jack Buckley. Tom Green, 33 disposals.
He was their best. He was clearly their best in my mind.
Yeah,
for the Giants.
What was the Bren Daniels advantage? I don't.
So it was late in the game. Late in the game. It was, I think, midway through the last quarter. It was a free kick to the Giants just outside the goal square. Ball spills to the back. Daniels could have either picked it up, or he decides to sock it, and the ball's sort of bobbling. Sock it, just hacks it off the deck, misses to the left, and look, that wasn't the reason they lost, but it would have been a pretty pivotal moment if you look back at the review.
So Giants, clearly a failed season. Like, they'll be disappointed. Straight sets.
Yeah.
They're out.
And not just straight sets, leading comfortably at three-quarter time in both finals.
Yeah.
And you butcher it. It's not like, that's going to hurt for some. You talk about Hawthorn's loss. This one's significant for the Giants because this was pretty well set up for them to progress and get through and maybe win a grand final.
They're older. They've got the Coleman medalists. They've got a great back line. Guys like Canelio and Kelly and Whitfield, like that, they're not getting younger.
And will Callum Ward go on next year? Yeah. He may have re-signed this year.
He did.
Yeah, so he's got a bit left in the tank. But, yeah, that's Adam Kingsley would be absolutely gutted today just thinking about what could have been.
Can Brisbane challenge next week or not?
Yeah, I think they can. It's at the MCG. I don't think Geelong...
I reckon whatever I say now won't happen. But I think Geelong, they might wipe them.
Well, it wouldn't surprise. The two teams that have got through from the qualifying final...
Yeah,
I just believe we're at Sydney at the SCG against a team like Port, who I reckon they've spent all their bickies on Friday night. I reckon they're one and done. The emotion, the physical, all of that, you just want to be on Sydney there. And we'll talk about it on Thursday. As for Geelong, probably likewise. But Brisbane, I think, has got a few more weapons, I think, up their sleeve. Because they were poor for 3 quarters and they still won the game. Sometimes those matches and those moments, and they just got to be able to perform better at the G. I know they lost to Collingwood late in the season after being in a really good position. The GF, we all know. They need to be able to play the MCG better.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but excuse me. The teams that win the qualifying surely win on percentage more games than teams that are getting there through the semis.
I'm guessing 70%.
Yep. Might have to chase that up at some point. AFLW, West Coast defeat Western Bulldogs by 11 points at Whitten Oval. Watch that one. It was a good one. Another win to West Coast. Best start they've ever had. Most wins they've had at this stage of the season ever. They're going very well, but Western Bulldogs aren't a very good side. So they're 2-1. Fremantle defeated Port Adelaide. So West Australian side's going well in the AFLW. In the WAFL, the Peel Thunder absolutely wiped Swan Districts. You would have been working this one, I'm assuming, Skeeter?
Yeah, Swans kicked the first 5 of the game, and after that it was 15 goals to 4.
Really?
Bit of a breeze to the right of screen. And I've got to say, Neil Erasmus, 33 disposals, a goal, best on, and clearly with Will Brodie out with a corky.
Nathan O'Driscoll looked quite good.
Nathan O'Driscoll was really good. Playing a bit of an inside mid-roll as well, but of course he's got that acceleration. So he's if he can get back to full fitness next year for Fremantle, and bear in mind, they had 12 AFL-listed players there. So
we're talking Reedy.
Yeah, you've got Reedy, you've got Erasmus, you've got
Brodie.
Taberner, not so, of course, he's been delisted, but he kicked 5 goals.
Will Brodie play?
Yeah, Will Brodie didn't play. He was out with a corked calf,
right.
So a corked thigh, should I say. Yeah, but they had, they've got guys that have, it just looked like men against boys at times yesterday. And Swans were brave, but they didn't have Jesse Turner, Aidan Clark, and Peel, to their credit, after getting out of jail by a whisker against Claremont, they now go into this Sunday's grand final with a fair bit of confidence, and they made a grand final last year. They made it this year. I know WAFL clubs and WAFL supporters are thinking, well, what sort of advantage have they got with the AFL alignment? doesn't matter. Adam Reid in his first year has got them into the grand final, and I think sentiment will be with East Perth on Sunday. That's natural, given what we've seen over the past with alignment clubs against the WAFL clubs. But yeah, well done to Peel. They were too good yesterday, and they've got a huge game. Hopefully, 7,000 there yesterday. Really good atmosphere.
And how many do you think we'll get at the grand final? I'll be going on my tickets.
Yes.
To WAFL. How many do you reckon we'll get?
I think if Swans had got
30?
there, it would have been over 30.
Right.
Peel doesn't tend to attract big numbers, but East Perth will.
They should. I mean, Freo fans should be going up to stadium and watching your bloody players play.
Well, they should. I hope they do. But East Perth, we know, will provide the bulk, or certainly the sentiment there. So I'm thinking, anything around 30 would be good.
Why would you not? Well, if you're a Freo fan, why would you not go to this game?
I don't think there's been a massive buy-in from Dockers fans or Eagles fans to their WAFL. Well, clearly, they haven't been because...
Well, it's hard to buy in the West Coast.
Yeah, but that's just a success metric. Correct. But, it's college football. I know it's different, but you'd think of the next level down. College football so massive in the States. Here, our WAFL football and VFL and SANFL, probably South Australia is the most passionate of those three. Yeah, we haven't quite hit it just right. But, I'm hoping we get a good crowd because the footy's good. The quality of footy is up there. And as I said, Taberner with 5 goals, terrific. We had Pat Voss out there. He had Corey Tregenza. They've got quality there, Peel, and that's going to be a real issue for East Perth if they get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, half these guys are Freo players, though. That's what I'm asking. It's not like it's a college football where they don't align to anyone.
No, that's true.
They're literally your players. So I'll be going. Our boy Hamish, hopefully getting up for that one.
Oh, I hope he gets up and wins a flag, to be honest with you, because it's been 20 years since they've done that.
Absolutely. So looking forward to that one, Skeeter. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shoulder FootyCast. I'm just going to go through some comments across YouTube and Instagram. Skate, if you do want to do that, you know where to find that. Shoulder FootyCast on socials. You can send us an email. Didn't get any this weekend, but that's okay.
That's good.
FootyCast at backchatstudios.com.au. I don't get too chirpy yet, Skeeter. We got some Mark Redding's focus, I believe, on some of these comments. Skeeter is a national treasure. Definitely a Benson behind the hedges operator as well. That's from Jog On YouTube.
Benson Hedges, give me a spell.
This is behind the hedges. Look at Skeet in a hoodie, trying to look as little like Joe Biden as possible. From Jesse. Can't believe Skeeter's gone rogue with the hoodie again. Who's upset Joe? We love you, Skeet. We know we know you're in charge, mate. That's from.
I might put my rates up next year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love. Are they taking the piss? Or are they being serious?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Hawks are moving to Dingley. It's about 15 kilometres south of Waverley. New facilities.
So Waverley's always been, when I was saying go to Waverley, when you're watching the footy or the grand final in 91, it was always a journey. It was a bit of a pain in the arse. But so Dingley, so is it closer to the city then, is it?
15 kilometres south of Waverley. So
you got no idea.
Absolutely not.
You've never heard of Dingley? I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. What do I look like? A fucking
Well, you're Victorian.
Melways. What do you want me to
You're a Victorian. I thought you might know.
No, I don't know. Dingley. Someone look up with Dingley.
I certainly know where, like Barclay Street and all these little other places in,
Is that right?
Well, just some nice spots in Melbourne, just a couple of friendly bars.
So we're talking about Melbourne and the distance away. The other problem with Casey Fields, which is where Melbourne play, is all the roadworks in the area. It's better now. However, the past 2 years, sometimes it can take an hour just to get in or out of the area. Yeah. So that's the Melbourne sort of issue.
That's it's not doesn't sound like much, but if you're going to take an hour and a half out of your day to get to and from training.
Dingley? Found where Dingley is, Jade?
No, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Couldn't care less. Jaden's watching the NFL over there. Dingbats. Schoey, the more you defend yourself, the more people will go at you. No need to defend yourself. Just keep being honest and every now and then find a positive to say about the Eagles. Simple.
Just keep being you, Schoey. That's all I say, because I love it. When the heat goes on you, I just sit back and I know you're a big boy. You can defend yourself.
You would have enjoyed Friday night. Mate, I had people calling in, bloody telling me what to say.
Because of the Hinkley moment or something else?
Nah. It was because me and Carl were going at each other. And you know Carl and I, we don't... I went home, didn't think about it again.
Yeah, the problem with both of you, and I've worked with both of you, is that you're never wrong. And that's difficult when you've got two people. It's a bit like being at home sometimes. Never wrong. And so you just got to wear the argument. And then even if you know you're right, you can't convince the other bloke because the other bloke's so stubborn.
It was exactly like that. That's exactly what happened. I'm just looking for Dingley here. Jaden's pinned it. Well, what's that going to do? It's next to Moorabbin Airport.
Moorabbin.
Yeah, he's from WA.
You never heard of Moorabbin? No. It's where St Kilda's based.
Yeah, that's actually a good response.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And
I mean, it doesn't look close. Got to be honest. Hawthorn, bit of.
Anyway, we're really getting out of our lane here.
Skeet's got, you got something, you got to cash in, you go to.
No, I've just got to go and do another radio interview, do some waffle stuff. Just general
It's a big week for you. Big week for you.
Well, it's a grand final. We're on air from 12 to 6:30, so I'm hosting and calling 2 games, so I will definitely need a shelter at the end of that.
Is that the Colts?
Colts,
Claremont
versus Swans, and I think in many ways it's going to be, just in brief, guys like Hamish Davis, the draftees, and I'll just mention one. But
is he the backman? Is it? No.
Well, he played full kick 7 goals late in the season.
There's a backman for Claremont that I watched their prelim, and he's very good. I liked him.
Yeah, well, Tigers have got the cream of the crop when it comes to talent, given the PSA association with schools around them and the western suburbs. So they should be winning that. But yeah, so big Sunday at Optus Stadium. Yeah, it should be good. We've got the Waffle Wonderland, so the kids, I'm not sure if you're going with the boys.
Come down.
Yeah, they'll love it out there. And I reckon it's great to support local footy. And I know the AFLW season is ongoing, but I think at the moment, let's focus on the Waffle. Still a very good product. And again, blokes like Hammer, they're toiling away, doing their best, and hopefully, it's a ripping game.
I had a question for you and I forgot. Just watching the Waffle prelim and an old Skeet. Well, just watching the Waffle prelim. So, just so you know, so this is Instagram, but shout out Jason. So Jason, he's watching the game. He's then had the forethought or afterthought to go, you know what, I'm going to go let the boys know. And I absolutely love it. I just love every bit about it. It's not convenient, but it needs to be done.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
So Jason's watching Channel 7.
Yeah.
He's not listening to BackChat and he's just going to go, I'm going to just go straight here and type this in. He's actually had to actively go and get his phone, log on to Instagram, get an account, go find a post. He's actively bringing this feedback to me. Do you know what I mean? It's not just it's not a talkback listener on 6PR who's listening and picks up the phone and says, Schoey, you're not the boss here and do this and that. And then I tell him to get, I'm just saying, people like Jason is what makes our community great. He's actively stitching you up, I believe.
No, so it's good for my mental health, is it?
Just watching the Waffle prelim, an old Skeet proclaiming how he has taught his kids never give up. I guess this explains his cheeky beverage, darts, and punting holy trinity lives by his own creed.
What is this? He made me sound like on the Marlborough Man. I don't.
Who's the Marlborough Man? What's the Marlborough Man?
The bloke who used to ride on a horse and used to dart every day. Mate, I'm not a... Anyway, you've made me sound a lot worse than I am for a bloke that does a bit of vaping in his time. I don't drink Monday to Friday. I have a couple on the weekend and suddenly I sound like I'm Charlie Sheen.
No, but you've got to understand, Skeeter, people like you and love you on this show. Because you're a regular person.
I think I'm,
as the person said to me, mate, where is it? Schoey, stop defending yourself. The more you defend yourself, the more people go at you. You don't have to defend yourself, Skeeter. It's okay. No, but you're not doing anything illegal.
But do I need to propagate the fact that I'm, falling out of bed, hungover? I don't do that. I actually don't drink during the week at all. You know me.
Can I have a look at the Marlborough Man? Come to where the flavour is.
So
it's some kind of cowboy.
So I was 3 years of age when Mum told me, and this was at home, and what would happen is if the Marlborough Man ad came on, it's this music.
It was bloody good looking.
And so the Marlborough Man music would come on, and Mum would have to turn the TV down because I used to be in bed, jump out of bed to come watch the Marlborough Man. This is in the 70s. And here I am, and so this is when you get advertised darts on TV. You have the Benson and Hedges cup, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, that's a Marlborough Man.
That is very funny. That is very funny.
Another little insight into my probably troubled childhood.
Favourite song was the Marlborough Man song. Skeeter, mate, great weekend of footy. It was very good fun. Looking forward to seeing you Thursday. Make sure you can send in your chats to us, show to FootyCast at BackChat Studios for an email. Skeeter, have a great week, mate.
It's always a pleasure, and I'd say we're on fire at Shelter. We get the selfies. We're like the Swifties on fire.
You?
I had 2.